When you talk to Shedeur, I mean, I know everyone's kind of always been talking about him in the news as well. I see him a lot on my social media feed. I'm sure he sees stuff about himself as well. But have you guys at all talked about what kind of a mindset he's in right now, how he's dealing with all of this himself?
I mean, we've been dealing with this for a long time, so I'm pretty sure he's definitely good. You know, he don't let this stuff get to him. You know, he just got to continue to prove and continue to have the doubters, you know, pick something up and say something else about him. So he already know it's coming. You know, it's on him right now, and then eventually it's going to be on me. So whoever plays on the coach front, they just got to have thick skin and be ready for whatever comes with it.
You're going to make it, I promise. I'm telling you, you're going to make it.
Good job. Good job, buddy.
He going to make it. He going to make it, watch. He worked too hard for this. He remember when they doubted him. He remember when they doubted him.
Snap, the hold, the kick to the uprights, and Andre Smith gets the kick.
He remember when they doubted him. He remember when they doubted him. He remember when they doubted him.
About him being the guy. As a matter of fact, here's Myles Garrett talking about it, and we'll go from that, and we'll get to him first, and then get to Shelby Harris.
4 quarterbacks, the challenges. Do y'all have the guy? Is Shedeur the guy?
That's what we're looking at as a guy. No, we're going to give him a shot to prove that he's a guy. So we're not going to give anyone that title until they go out there and earn it. And he was the last person to be on the field, and he showed some flashes. So we're going to give him an opportunity.
Let me ask you something real quick. What would you do if you walked into a brand new job and the very people you were supposed to lead didn't believe you belonged there? Not the fans, not the media, not the critics online, your own teammates. That's exactly the situation Shedeur Sanders walked into when he arrived in Cleveland. And what happened next? Nobody saw it coming. Stay with me, because this story isn't just about football. This is about a young man who refused to let the noise define him.
Am I going to take what Myles Garrett and Shelby Harris is talking about, or what Todd Monken says, or I'm going to pay attention to anonymous guys who are saying how the guys around the league don't think anybody would take him in the first round? Listen, first of all, I don't know what y'all. I don't care nothing about the fraternity of guys around the league. I'm into understanding what the Cleveland Browns do. I do ultimate Browns, not ultimate around the league.
It's early 2025. The NFL Combine is buzzing. Every analyst, every talking head, every so-called league insider is throwing out names. Anthony Richardson, Malik Willis, everybody's got a take. Everybody's got an opinion. And somewhere in the middle of all that noise, Shedeur Sanders is just working. But here's what people aren't talking about enough. While the media was busy running with anonymous sources, guys around the league say this, scouts are saying that. Something very different was happening inside the Cleveland Browns locker room. The veterans were watching, quietly, closely, the way veterans do. And what they saw made them change their minds. Myles Garrett, the most dominant defensive player in the NFL, a man who doesn't just throw around words, started speaking up. He called out Shedeur directly, not to embarrass him, but to back him. And when Myles Garrett speaks, the whole league listens. Here's the thing about Myles Garrett that people need to understand. This is a man who has been on the Cleveland Browns through the struggle, through the losing seasons, through the heartbreak, through the what could have been moments that keep Browns fans up at night. He's been waiting, genuinely waiting, for someone to walk through those doors and say, I'm the guy. So when Myles was asked about the quarterback room, he didn't sugarcoat it. He laid it out straight. He said they're going to give Shedeur a shot to earn that title, not hand it to him, not guarantee it, but give him the opportunity, the first opportunity, to go out there and show what he can really do. That is everything in an NFL locker room. Veterans don't owe a rookie anything. They've seen too many prospects come and go, too many highly touted guys flame out, too many first-rounders who couldn't handle the pressure once the lights got bright. But But when a veteran like Myles Garrett says he was the last one on the field, showed some flashes, and they're ready to see what he can really do, that's not just a quote, that's an endorsement. That's a veteran looking a rookie in the eye and saying, I see something real in you. And Shedeur earned every single word of it.
The kid, I believe that he definitely got the short end of the stick. You know, everyone made all these big deals about stuff that it was out of his control. He can't control who his dad is. But the one thing I will say is that Shedeur works. He works his ass off.
He did?
And he takes the time to get to hang out with his teammates, which I think is extremely important, especially when you're a young quarterback, because it's all about building those relationships with the players and building that time with them so that when it is crunch time.
Now let's not pretend this was smooth sailing. Let's be honest about what Shedeur walked into. The criticism of Shedeur Sanders wasn't just about his game, it was personal, it was loud, and a lot of it was unfair. People questioned his leadership, they questioned his work ethic, they threw his father's name, Deion Sanders, at him like it was a burden instead of a blessing, as if being raised by one of the greatest to ever play the game somehow made Shedeur less deserving. Think about that for a second. This kid grew up watching his father pour everything into the game of football, watched him demand excellence, watched him build a winning culture from scratch at Colorado, and instead of being inspired by that story, people used it as ammunition. He only got here because of his dad. He didn't earn his spot. Guys around the league don't respect him. Anonymous, faceless, hiding behind sources. But Shedeur, he never responded to any of it. You know why? Because he was too busy working. And then came the moment that shifted everything. Shelby Harris, a veteran who has played in this league long enough to know the difference between a guy who talks and a guy who works, opened up about what he saw when Shedeur arrived. He said he was highly impressed. Not okay impressed, not somewhat impressed, highly impressed. And here's what made Shelby say that, and this is the part that should matter to every single person watching right now. Shedeur works his tail off every single day. No shortcuts, no entitlement, no do you know who my father is energy. Just work. But it wasn't even the work on the field that got Shelby. It was what Shedeur did off the field that really won him over. Shedeur took the time to hang out with his teammates, to build real relationships, to sit with the guys, learn them, understand them, because he understood something that a lot of young quarterbacks miss entirely. A quarterback isn't just a position, it's a relationship. When you're under center and the game is on the line, it's not your talent that your teammates are trusting, it's you, the person, the character, the man. And Shedeur understood that from day one. Shelby Harris said it himself. Shedeur takes the time to be with his teammates, and when it's crunch time, those guys are going to know exactly how hard he worked to get there. They'll have seen it with their own eyes. They'll believe in it. That's not a talking point. That's a veteran watching a young man invest in the right things and calling it out loud.
All he does is go in and work. And if anything, you got to give Deion credit for that. He taught him how to work. Yeah. He taught him how to handle himself at work.
So, for me, I take a look at that and, I always hear, you'll hear a lot of people say, well, I talk to different people around the league. Well, I talk to it's people at the combine and scouts and people. And the thing that I always tell people is, a lot of that is just, conjecture and this noise.
If anything, you have to give Coach Prime credit because Deion taught Shedeur how to work. He taught him how to carry himself in a professional environment. He gave him the habits, the discipline, the mindset you need to survive and thrive in this league. And that right there flips the entire narrative on its head. People were using Deion as a reason to doubt Shedeur, as if his upbringing was a red flag. But Shelby Harris, a man who sees these players every single day, is telling you the complete opposite. Deion Sanders didn't create a liability. He created a worker. He didn't raise a kid who expected things to be handed to him. He raised a kid who shows up, puts in the reps, and earns his place every single day. That's the story the media didn't want to tell. That's the story the anonymous scouts never bothered to notice, but the men in that locker room, they saw it immediately. So where does all of this leave us? The noise from the combine is fading. The Anthony Richardson chatter, gone. The Malik Willis talk, dead. The nondescript scouts and their water cooler opinions, completely irrelevant. What matters now is what's happening inside the Cleveland Browns facility. And what's happening inside that facility is this. A young quarterback is winning over the people who matter most. Not the fans, not the media, the teammates, the veterans, the guys who have to line up beside him every single Sunday. Myles Garrett is backing him. Shelby Harris is standing on business for him. The locker room is shifting because Shedeur Sanders came in, kept his head down, put in the work, and let his actions speak louder than every negative headline ever could. He's expected to be the Week 1 starter. He's expected to get first serving in every rep, every practice, every opportunity the Browns create to evaluate their quarterback situation. And honestly, after everything we've seen, after the doubt, the narratives, the noise, this feels like it was always building to this moment. Here's the thing about Shedeur Sanders that I want to leave you with. A lot of people come into situations like this and they crumble. They let the outside noise get inside their head. They start trying to prove themselves to people who are never going to believe in them anyway. They lose themselves trying to fight battles that were never theirs to fight. Shedeur didn't do any of that. He walked into Cleveland, a city that has been hungry for a real quarterback for decades, and he did the only thing that has ever actually worked in this league. He showed up, he worked, he connected with his teammates, he earned respect in a room full of men who don't give it away for free. And now, the very people who questioned him are the loudest voices in his corner. That's not luck, that's not nepotism, that's not hype. That is character. That is growth. That is what it looks like when a young man refuses to let the world's opinion become his own. The Browns haven't had a story like this in a long time, and if what's coming out of that locker room is any indication, Cleveland might finally have their guy.